The Big Ten has got some really good wins lately because Purdue wins the Maui Invitational. Just a crazy Maui Invitational as well. I mean, you look at the names of the teams who were in here. You look at the names of the coaches. The names of these aren't just like teams that have good numbers next to their names. These are real coaches coaching really good teams. And Matt Painter showed that hey, this team can go in and they can win a tournament and they can play well in a tournament, and that's got to be really, really good news for the Boilermakers. I mean, we're talking about beating Shaka Smart. We're talking about beating Gonzaga. We're talking about meeting some really good players, Tyler Kolek. I mean, these are really, really good teams that they were able to take down. I don't know if Gonzaga is as good as they normally are, but I don't want to disparage them at all because you look at Gonzaga every single year and they're still up there. Frank, tell me about the Boilermakers. What was it in this tournament that really put them over the top?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of what went right, I felt that Purdue came to play defensively. Now, Matt Painter would disagree with me on that. I know he's been pretty critical of the team's defensive performance, but really that's been the big surprise this season has been Purdue's defensive effort. I think they're currently fourth or fifth in KenPom. It bounces all over the place. I've been following it all season, but yeah, I think really, defensively we force teams to kind of play our brand of basketball, which is kind of what we saw Marquette do against Kansas. And I think that, Purdue to go through and win this, and still have turnover issues, still struggle from the free throw line is just a testament to how good this team can actually be when they're playing their best basketball, which I think they were far from that in the Maui Invitational. But yeah, three really exciting games, got my heart rate up quite a bit, especially that last one, to see Marquette make that comeback that they did. But just a great, tournament out there in Hawaii, and really happy to see the Boilermakers take the win for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think you saw a little bit of everything you wanted to see from this Boilermaker team. You saw Fletcher Loyer come out and have a really good game, 27 points against Tennessee. He was kind of struggling. I was joking with Russ last podcast that I was like, should Fletcher Loyer be starting? And then that same night, he scores 27 points. So it's like, yeah, he should be starting.
Well, that was the entire Purdue fan base, seemingly, too. That
exactly.
was criticizing his starting position for sure.
Exactly. He took a little bit slower to get started, but in addition to that, you saw Marquette come back and Purdue fight back and get a close win as well. So it's not like they just blew every team out and didn't have anything close. I mean, yeah, I think you saw a little bit of everything you wanted to see from this Boilermakers team in the Maui Invitational. That's got to feel really, really good for Boilermaker fans. Burke, I know it's going to be hard for you to say good things about Purdue, but we made Russ say good things about Indiana last podcast. So I think you can muster something up, right?
It's hard to say it, but it's easy to see it. Like it's Zach Edey is just tall. It's not a thing. It may have been during the Ivy year. It truly may have been, but that it's no longer the case. This sucks. This is painful to say, guys. I'm like truly this is painful, but he's just playing with this mean ass nature, and it's pairs so well with this ludicrous stature. It's just far more competitive than we've seen him. And that's something crazy to say about somebody who's already the national reigning player of the year. I mean, everybody would kill to have this guy on their team. And then Braden Smith, I am getting sick talking about this, but Braden Smith, he's taken the leap forward that everyone had said he would. He still turns the ball over quite a bit, but with his ability, I mean, he's making passes and getting assists with just far more confidence than we saw all last season. And it's an absolute gem of a guard that Matt Painter was able to find under the radar, under the nose of just the entire country. And listen, my level of animosity for him can pretty well correlate with just the value of his play. And I have a feeling I'm just going to hate him more and more and more. But like, there has to be a ceiling there for like the sake of Hoosier psyches everywhere. There has to be a ceiling there. So, I mean, I hope to God we are seeing that ceiling right now, but he's just bringing it. And then the worst part of all of this, sorry. So what?
I just had a quick question. I remember, 2 or 3 months ago, you had said that you were sick of hearing that Braden Smith has taken the next step.
Frank does not forget. He's got receipts.
Has he, in your opinion?
it's undeniable what he's doing, and that it sickens me to see, sickens me to talk about. But this has to be it, right? Like, which is crazy to say about a sophomore, but this has to be the ceiling. I need it to be the ceiling. And then the worst part of this whole Purdue team this year, which is probably the best part in Frank's eyes, the worst part is this is just the most fleshed out squad that they've had in my recent memory. Kaufman Wren, Miles Colvin, Lance Jones, and having their starting forward from last season come off the bench, like they look like a juggernaut this season. It's crippling to my spirit, but they look damn good. And if there isn't a leap in the play of some other Big Ten team right now, they're going to run away with it. And that truly pains me to say.
Props to you for being able to get through that, Brooke. I know that wasn't easy for you, and if any of your fans are listening, they probably are
guys, I'm sorry.
Right now.
I'm sorry, but
no, I think, Braden Smith, to me, the thing I was looking at this year more than anything else was the turnovers. And early on in the season, before the Maui Invitational, I wasn't really ecstatic about some of the turnovers he had. I didn't feel like he had improved greatly in that area, but he is fouling less this season. He's getting more steals. His assists are up almost by 2 more assists per game. The rebounds are still are up as well. So, even though I think that the turnover have not been as good of an improvement as I would have hoped. He's doing all the little things you want your point guard to do. He's shooting 50% from 3-point. I think he's shooting the same percentage from 3-pointers as he is from free throws, which that's just kind of funny. But his rebounds are up, his assists are up. He's just doing all the things you need your point guard to do. So if he can just get those turnovers down, which it's hard to critique him because he's just playing so doggone well. But his points are up. I mean, this guy is doing everything you wanted him to do in the offseason. Just about everything you wanted him to improve at in the offseason to really take this team to the next step of where they need to be. Frank, you have any thoughts on Braden Smith and his improvement?
Yeah, I think, the biggest thing for me this season is him looking to score more.
Yeah.
And so there was kind of a long game going on with Painter in that, the first several games, even going back to the exhibition games, that they were setting high ball screens for Braden. And if the defense didn't switch, if they dropped or went under, he was shooting. Right. And so the first team that we saw who actually respected that was Marquette, who actually switched and were, creating mismatches down low with Edey and forcing him to double. Now, granted, Edey had 5 turnovers passing out of those, but I think he's kind of established himself as an offensive threat where he was a guy where, if he was open, he was going to shoot. But now you see him looking for his own shot. And I don't think anyone expected that. And yes, his turnover numbers haven't improved like we hoped, but, his assist percentage is up 15% from last season, which is really encouraging to see. And, it's something that even happens at the pro level too, that, the best passers often have the most turnovers as well. So that might just be something we have to live with, from the fan perspective. But yeah, I couldn't be happier with Braden, and I hope this isn't his ceiling. I hope he continues to grow, but we'll see what happens.
Well, and less than 3 turnovers per game is not bad. I don't want to make it sound like he's bad with his turnovers. He's not. He hasn't had less than 2 all season, but like I said, that's not bad. It's just not the improvement that maybe people wanted to see. But you're exactly right. If you're going to be passing as much as he is, those turnovers are naturally going to come just because you're passing so much. I was really impressed with him against Marquette. 4 for 6 from behind the 3-point line, 18 points. I think you were right, Frank. They were really hunting him a little bit more to make sure he wouldn't shoot, and he still looked for a shot. He still got there. He didn't rely all on Edey like sometimes we saw him do a little bit last year, which I can't really blame him for. You got a 7'4" guy that's in the paint. If I was stressed out, I'd probably just pass to him as well. But yeah, I think the development of Braden Smith is what this team needed to kind of be this team that can go out and win tournaments and do those kind of things. So it's going to be really, really interesting.
It's made they always had that A option last season.
Yeah.
But it's made their B, C, and D options so much more apparent and just damaging to any opponent they're going to face. And yeah, the Big Ten has to figure something out to stop these guys.
Well, I think one thing that's different is the addition of Lance Jones right now too.
Yes.
And that, last season Purdue did not have an equivalent. And I think Lance Jones is probably the most athletic guard we've had since Jaden Ivey. And we've had good guards. I just think he's, up there in athleticism. So we really didn't have someone who could, just kick it into extra gear and get to the basket like he can really get back in transition and make shots difficult for other guys. So I think that's what makes this Purdue team a little bit different is A, the depth piece, and B, the addition of Lance Jones.
I agree. Yeah, I like the guys around the team as well. Colvin as well. He didn't score any points against Tennessee and Marquette, but early on in the season, he was kind of picking up for Fletcher Lawyer. I think he was the guy that people were kind of vying to start over Fletcher Lawyer, weren't they, Frank? Yeah. So, I think he's a good player. I don't know if he's going to be scoring you 10 points every single game, but he's definitely there when you need it. So that's a good option to have. Listen to the Big Ten Huddle. Please do like and subscribe. We appreciate that. If this was your first time listening, we are the Big Ten Huddle. We cover all things Big Ten football and basketball. We have a long episode every Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night, all at 9 o'clock. So come in, check us out, get in the chat, let us know what you're thinking. We would love to have you join us and learn more about the Big Ten.